Welcome back to Young Smart Money, show number 16 with me, your host, Apple Kreider, the show where we bring on young people who are doing cool stuff financially, entrepreneurially, really just whatever. We share their journey with you guys and any actionable steps or just advice that they can share with a young person audience that we've got going on here. So today on the show, we have JJ Buckner. JJ Buckner, good friend of mine. We have been both making personal finance YouTube videos for a while now. So we've been in contact with each other. We've done a little collaboration here and there. But today I wanted to have him on the show because he has a really cool life experience that I think can really bring a lot of value to you guys. I know it brought a ton of value to me being a college student, but his experience is how he actually paid off about 60 grand between him and his wife of student loan debts in the span of 9 months. So that's pretty enormous in my opinion, and he's not making some like crazy 6-figure salary out here. Like he's fresh out of college, and he decided that he wanted to hit this debt head on. So that's what he decided to do, and that's how him and his wife were able to pay off over 60 grand in 9 months. We're going to break down that entire process. We're going to talk about YouTube. We're going to talk about so many different things, but mostly it's going to revolve around establishing yourself financially as a young person, really getting on your feet and just really figuring out how to get started, whether that's paying off debt or investing or just building up an emergency fund. Like all of these things we're going to cover because they're essential factors in establishing yourself as a financially secure young person. So that's what we're going to get into. And without further ado, let's welcome JJ on to Young Smart Money. All right, guys, we got JJ Buckner here. He's going to talk a little bit about getting on your feet financially as a young person because he has done it. He has gone through the process. He's killing it financially. He's doing really cool stuff in life on YouTube. So I'm just really excited to get into the conversation. I haven't talked to him in a while, so I'm excited to catch up with you, JJ. So could you just tell us a bit about yourself, maybe the audience who's not super familiar with you, they haven't seen your YouTube videos, just sort of like what stage of life you're in, what you're up to, stuff like that.
For sure, man. So first, Apple, I want to say thanks for having me on the podcast. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, like I said, my name is JJ Buckner. I'm 27. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Lindsay. We have one son. His name's Mason. We live in a small town in Missouri of just about, I think last time I checked, it's like over 500 people.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's a pretty small town, but we're about an hour south of St. Louis. So we're not too far from like a major city. I graduated college with a degree in civil engineering. I started working in 2014 for a large engineering company as a transmission line engineer. And what transmission line engineers do is the big power lines you see when you're going up and down the highway. Mm-hmm. We work with clients of the utility companies to either design brand new ones or to fix or reroute existing transmission lines.
Sounds
recently, yeah, it was a cool job. Recently, I made a pretty decent career change or a large career change. I'm now more in I'm out of the design aspect of engineering, and I'm on the construction side. So I am doing a lot of like project management and estimating for like large concrete commercial construction jobs.
Cool. Well, thanks for the background. So for our listeners that are not aware, like I mentioned before, you also have a YouTube channel. Used to be called JJ Buckner Investing, is now called JJ Buckner. And that's where we first sort of connected. That's where I first sort of got to know you. I saw some of your videos come up in my feed, and I was like, whoa, who is this dude? He's making really cool videos. So that's how we sort of got connected. But can you talk a little bit on sort of what your YouTube channel is all about?
Yeah, for sure. So mainly my YouTube channel has anything to do with money. So that is personal finance topics, that's investing topics, whether that be in the stock market or whether that be in real estate. I also talk a lot about financial independence, retiring early. So really anything money, maybe some type entrepreneurship related, investing, personal finance, the whole 9 yards. That's pretty much, I try to touch on a little bit of everything. So that's the kind of the YouTube channel in a nutshell.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's really cool to give people like a well-rounded picture of not just like one certain thing. And I was going to ask you why the name change, but it sounds pretty apparent that you wanted to not just be an investing channel, but sort of be a more holistic, like personal finance, just anything to do with money channel. And I think that's really cool. And I think that there's a lot of ways you can go with that. Whereas with investing, you might be a little bit limited. So I think
making the switch to being more of like a personal brand and just more about money. I think in my opinion, that's a power move. But some people might say that's too broad. But I think that's the way to go. I mean, that's the way that I go personally. So I might be a little bit biased there. But I think it's good to keep your options open and really be able to talk about what you are passionate about and what you actually feel like talking about, and not sort of like work yourself into a corner of like, oh, I can only talk about investing now because investing's in my name. So I don't know. I say props to you for that. But that's just my 2 cents.
No, I 100% agree with you, because that's exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be tied down just to the investing, because there's so much other topics out there that I wanted to touch on.
Yes.
And not only that, but I also am trying to get a little more personal with my YouTube channel. So, not only am I talking about, just what to do with your money, what to do with investing, or how to pay off debt. I try to touch a little bit also on personal experiences. So what maybe my wife and I have gone through in the past, or, what we have coming up in the future. Like for instance, one example, where my wife and I are currently in the process of building a house. Dang. And the biggest milestone right now for us is we're trying to determine how long it's going to take us to pay off this house that we're building. And we're trying to do it as fast as possible. So that's something I'm going to, kind of include on my YouTube channel, is like a monthly update of, how much we paid off this month and how much we have left. So it's a little bit, like I said, on a personal level instead of just teaching something, I guess.
I really like that. And I mean, I do a lot of that too as well. I just think it's really, and when I'm watching videos as well, I think it's a lot more powerful to actually hear what people are actually doing, rather than just like, oh, this is what you should do, or this is how you should invest your money. Like, this is what I'm actually doing. This is what happened. And you can learn from that, because I mean, learning from experiences, your own or other people's, is a really valuable way to go. And I think that being able to share your actual experiences with people is a really, really valuable thing. And I think like not having yourself in that corner of investing only and being able to be more flexible with it, I think that's a really smart idea in my opinion, and a really, I don't know, a really good move. I just think. So moving on a little bit, every time I meet somebody else who is sort of creating content, whether that be like financially related or otherwise, I'm blown away by like the amount of work people put in, and the amount of time they dedicate, and just like how much they care about what they're actually creating, because you really are creating stuff. So what made you want to make the leap, or what got you to make the leap into being a creator and to making YouTube videos in the first place?
This is a good question. Well, first, I'm not going to say that maybe 2 years ago, I wasn't a diehard YouTube guy. I really only got on YouTube to learn how to fix something for my car, or how to fix something around the house. It was really for, the do-it-yourself type of stuff.
Exactly.
I never really subscribed to channels. I never really watched, religiously someone's channel or anything like that. Until one day, which I don't really remember exactly how it happened. I was probably watching something on how to fix something. And then I saw, in the suggestion type videos, it was a video for Casey Neistat. Now, I'm sure anyone related to YouTube, they've probably heard of Casey Neistat.
I'm sure.
And I started watching his videos, and he was actually the first like real channel that I subscribed to. And for those of you that don't know Casey Neistat, he on some of his videos, he really touches on like being a creator, hitting that creative button in your personality, what that means. And while I was watching Casey's videos, he led me on to which I think was the real foundation of why I started my channel. And I know you know of him, and that's Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V.
Yes, Gary V all the way.
Absolutely. So I started watching Gary's channel, and he, I think, was the real reason of why I got started. And because of that, he was the reason of, he put into perspective of, follow your passion, create something that you're passionate about. And, prior to me starting watching these videos and these channels, I have been researching and reading blogs and, reading books on investing, on personal finance, and listening to podcasts. I never really got on YouTube except, like I said, for 2 years ago. Well, as I started watching those channels, I found channels like, Ryan Scribner, Jeremy at Financial Education. And I was like, oh my gosh, like these guys were putting out such great content. And I feel like I had my own 2 cents, my own opinion that I could maybe add to it. Also being with in a small town, there's not too many of my friends here that really enjoy talking about, personal finance or investing and what to do with your money. So I was like, well, maybe this is a good way also to get on here. And then I ended up finding this community of financial YouTubers like yourself. And it's really awesome to be able to have conversations with like-minded people who enjoy, talking about the same stuff that you enjoy talking about. And then also my main reason for starting my YouTube channel is to help people.
That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. If I could help one person with their finances, whether that be paying off a debt or a motivation to start investing or, something to get done with their finances and helping their financial life, that right there would be awesome. And it's funny that we did this podcast today and we're talking about this because while I was at work earlier today, I got a message on my Instagram and it was one of my subscribers. And he sent me a personal DM, and he was just kind of asking me a couple questions. And he sent me this one message, and he says, "JJ, keep making your videos. They're motivating me to help save more, to get that increase and start investing more." And I mean that right there
that's what it's all about.
It is incredible, man, to experience something like that. To know that you maybe not a lot, but you're at least helping a little bit with someone's financial life and something for you, I know you probably understand this too. Like this stuff means so much to us as financial YouTubers and someone who's wanting to, get into this sector is to help someone out like that. Like that is unreal. It's incredible.
Those messages are what make it all worth it. Like all the grinding out of making videos, editing videos, like figuring out what you're going to talk about. Like those messages are what really just like hit home for me personally and just make all of the work feel like nothing because like
absolutely,
that you've made an impact on at least one person and that their lives are going to be maybe just marginally better, but like in some way they have found a way to make an improvement based on some information that they got from me. Like that's like the stuff that just really like solidifies like this is why I do what I do. It's because of the people and the way that you can impact them.
Exactly. Yep, I 100% agree.
So what are your plans as far as YouTube goes? You said you have your own 2 cents to add, which I feel like just hearing your story, actually, I heard a lot of parallels from my experiences with just like you being in a small town versus me being a 19-year-old. My friends are not super willing to talk about money just because they're 19 and they're like, oh, I can just wait until I'm 35 to think about investing.
Right.
So it's pretty, I don't know. I feel like I had a similar experience of just like having stuff to say, but not really having the people around me that are very receptive to it. So that's sort of what brought me to YouTube as well. So I think that's pretty interesting that we have sort of that parallel going there. But just as far as your goals for YouTube, what are you sort of looking to for the future? Any milestones you're like looking to like get to, or what's your like long-term vision?
Well, first, it was kind of what I said previously. Like, if I can just help people, that's really my main consideration. This is such a passion for me, and this helping people with their finances. And I have family members that I've set up Vanguard accounts for them to start investing. I'm helping my parents and my parents-in-laws, if that's the word that you say for that. My wife's parents. I'm helping them with their budgeting, or my wife's mom has a business and she has some questions sometimes that she asks for me money wise. So that's like the biggest thing, is really just helping people, but as more of like an analytical goal for YouTube.
Sure.
Really, it's honestly, I think if I can start monetizing videos, that's my main goal, to create a passive income from the videos. I don't really have like a subscriber goal. I don't have anything like that. I'm kind of just in it for the long run and to see what happens. It's more of, if my goal, I think, is to be able to create another stream of income to maybe, like I said earlier, help speed up the process and paying off that mortgage. And also in the long run, that could maybe use that as a modem or a motivational aspect of the YouTube channel, as maybe someone else might want to start their own YouTube channel because they're seeing how this is helping me financially, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's really, really cool. Are you thinking of ad revenue? Are you thinking of creating like a course or an ebook or some kind of service, or like affiliate marketing, or what kind of passive income are you thinking about?
I think right now it's just mainly just going to be off ads. There's ideas in the future for maybe creating something of a course. I haven't really thought about that too much, to be honest.
That's fair.
My main concern right now is just putting out quality content that people can watch and are actually getting value from.
Yes. I'm totally with you on that. Personally, just hopping in, I don't know if I'm gonna put ads on my videos. Just because like my whole philosophy, I'm not trying to like say you're wrong or anything. I'm just like,
absolutely,
I'm just giving my 2 cents right now. But like my whole philosophy around sort of my videos is just making it like as easy as possible for people to consume, especially because my core demographic is college students. So they're all about streamlined and like, I need this now. So I don't know if I'll do ads. Right now I do some affiliate marketing, which is I've maybe made like $10 off of it so far. So it's like not that much, but I think being able to monetize on YouTube is a very cool thing to be able to be making passive income from something that you love to do. So I'm all with you on that. I think that's a great goal to have, just because I think that would just make things a whole lot easier.
Right. And
forward.
And to go off what you're saying too is there's a lot of you hear a lot of different aspects of should you monetize your videos, should you not, should you like Gary Vee, he talks about creating that equity and keeping that equity of your audience.
Yeah.
And he goes, do you want to monetize, or do you want to try and sell your audience something, or do you want to keep that equity and try and do as much as you can for free?
Exactly.
And give them as much as possible. That's kind of where I was like, well, I would like to get at least, it's nice to get something for as much work as it goes into YouTube.
Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes
exactly. And especially for like me raising a family, having a full-time job, working, 40, 50 hours a week, trying to spend time with my family on top of doing YouTube, it would be nice to be able to see a little bit of income coming in from like, maybe like I said, ads to where like maybe like some YouTubers choose to make a course or choose to make something where you have to pay to see a little bit more of their personal like stock portfolio or whatever that may be, to where I'm choosing to kind of put all of that out there for everyone to see, I guess.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I don't think there should be, some people sort of have like this shame associated with like with monetizing your following or your YouTube or whatever, but I don't think that should really be there, because we know personally how much time and effort, and with you like raising a family and building a house and just all of these things that you're doing, like there should be no shame in finding ways to creatively create income for yourself based on what you're doing. Because, you're putting out so much value for people that asking for a little bit in return should not really be an issue, I don't think. So one of your biggest videos is on how you were able to get over $60,000 in student loans paid off within 9 months. And first of all, just congratulations for that. That's like massive. I can't even think about that much money or debt or anything in my life right now, just because I haven't even experienced it. But can you talk a little bit on that process, why you even made the decision to knock off all those loans in the first place, and just how that sort of went for you? Because this episode really is at its core about getting on your feet financially. And it seems like this was a really big step for you to do that. So can you talk on that a bit?
For sure. So like I said, in 2014, I graduated with my degree in civil engineering, and I got that job right out of college. Mm-hmm. So when I first got that, first big boy adult paycheck as an engineer, I was like, okay, this is cool, but now what do I do with this? So I never really got into, finances, or I was always, I guess, decent with my finances, but I never really knew exactly what to do with it. So that's what created this process of, me reading financial books, investing books, what to do with my money, what should you do with debt? And as looking up on the internet of, what should I do with my money, how to pay off my student loans, do I do this, do I do that? Mm-hmm. I came across Dave Ramsey. And I feel like if anyone has ever searched anything about paying off debt, paying off student loans, you're going to see this man's name or face somewhere on the internet.
Oh, absolutely.
So I tuned into his show a couple times. I started really listening to him. And honestly, I love what the man has to say about paying off debt. Now, for investing purposes, that's a whole nother story or a whole nother podcast we could get into.
Yeah.
But for strictly paying off debt, the guy is perfect to listen to. If there's any listeners out there right now that, maybe you're struggling with student loans or you're not exactly sure what to do, with your debt situation, I feel like he's a perfect person to listen to for that. I started listening to Dave Ramsey, and I came home one day and I told my wife, I said, well, we're not buying that new car we wanted. We're not doing this. We're strictly putting all of our extra money into the student loans, and we're going to knock these puppies out. And she kind of looked at me and she's like, excuse me, So anyways, yeah, that's kind of how I made the decision to really start attacking the student loans.
I mean, yeah, Dave Ramsey, he's a passionate fella. He's certainly got a lot to say about paying off debt and investing. And I'm definitely with you on his view on paying off debt. I'm definitely not with him on his view on credit cards.
Me neither.
Yeah. I mean, I think it works for some people, but I don't think that's a one size fits all approach that he's offering. But as far as paying down debt goes, he's really, he's got some really great, I mean, I read one of his books called EntreLeadership, which wasn't explicitly about paying off debt. It was more about entrepreneurship and leadership. But he does have a lot to say on paying down debt that I'm very on board with. And I think, yeah, like you said, for our listeners that are in debt, like that's the place to go. And he can really provide you with some guidance on getting a start on that and just really chipping away at it, because it can seem really overwhelming. I'm sure. I mean, I haven't really had that much experience with it. Obviously, I have some student loans, but I'm only through my freshman year, so it's not that significant yet. But I'm sure, and you can probably talk on this as well, that it seems pretty overwhelming. Like when you first got out of school and you had 60 grand in debt, like, did you feel like that was overwhelming, or did you feel like that's a tomorrow problem, or sort of like, how did that feel for you having that much debt coming out of school?
Well, coming from a kid who, I guess I never really had debt before that, besides a small car loan during high school. It was, I'll be honest, it was pretty shocking and overwhelming.
Yeah.
I mean, you get out of school coming from this broke college kid who was barely making ends meet, just, eating your ramen noodles and doing whatever you had to do. And then you get out and you got this $60,000 of student loans. And sometimes it's even more than that for some people. And it's overwhelming. And you really have to sit back and not let it take over you. So, and we may get into this in a little bit, but
sure.
I think the most important thing when you have a large sum of money like that you owe is to take it on as maybe starting out with like hitting small goals. And I actually talk about this in one of my videos on my YouTube channel. And my wife and I, what we would do is we would set a small goal for maybe that month. And we said, okay, we're going to try and attack the debt and get, $1,000 paid off this month, or however much that amount was for the month. So maybe instead of going out to eat one night or going out with the friends for a couple of beers that night, we decided to stay in, cook dinner, and save that money to put towards the loans. And sometimes I would even put it towards it that night. So if I knew we were going out to dinner, instead of making the decision to go, I would say, okay, let's stay in. And, let's say we spend $40 between dinner and a couple drinks. I'm going to go apply that $40 to the student loans right now. Dang. So like that's another fun little aspect to do.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how fast those $40 purchases or those $50 purchases will add up over a longer, or I guess shorter period of time, whether, it'd be the 9 months or maybe it's 2 years for someone to get their student loans paid off.
Yeah, I like that. I like the psychology behind that, of sort of like paying yourself instead of paying all your money out. Like that seems like a really, really effective way, at least like mentally, to sort of see your progress. Because when you're putting those $40 in at a time, you really see that you're making an impact, and you're not just sort of like thinking, maybe it'll get better this month, maybe we'll get the X amount paid off. But like, you're actually putting the money in very frequently. You're making sure that you actually stick with it and that you actually do it.
Exactly.
So going into school and taking out debt, as I'm sure a ton of our listeners are doing, myself included, I feel like, even for me personally, I don't think I fully grasp like the implications that taking out all this student loan debt actually has over the course of a lifetime. And did you have any ideas of what those implications might be when you were in school, before you went to school? Did you have any idea of like what it would take to get this debt paid off, or how that would affect your life?
Not no, but hell no. I'll be honest with you. I mean, it's not really something you think of. Like you said, it's not really something you think about or you're worried about in college, because you're so stressed about getting, a good grade on your test, or you're worried about what classes you're taking this semester. And the student loans, I feel like, is something that's happening in the background. Yeah. You do it for, which I don't know how they do it now, but back when I was in school, you'd go for your one semester, you go to the financial aid office or do whatever you needed to do to get your loans in check. And then you could forget about them. And then you just, until next year came around.
Yep.
So no, I did not grasp the situation I was putting myself in. And not only that, but all of my peers around me, which again, this may be something that you're hearing also, but everyone said the same thing about student loans. And they said, we'll pay them off when we get our jobs out of college.
Exactly, man. And that's how people talk about investing. That's how people talk about just getting any part of their finances in order, about building credit, about anything. It's just, I'll do that when I'm out of school, or I'll do that when I have my first job, or I'll do that when I'm 30, or I'll do it when I'm 40. Like, there's just so much of people pushing things off when they're in college, when I think there's just such an opportunity to get a head start on these things, and to start making progress, and to just start building yourself a solid foundation. Because the compound interest, man, if you guys listening haven't played around with a compound interest calculator and just looked at what the difference of like even 1 or 2 years can be, like the difference of starting 1 or 2 years earlier can literally be tens of thousands of dollars as far as your retirement goes. And it's so powerful to get started early, even if it's just $100, like $100 a month, or $1,000 here and there. Like, there's just so much potential early on that I think so many people are just pushing aside and saying they'll do that when the time is right. But I mean, the time's never going to be perfect. So I mean, even if it's just $100, like get started, open whatever, a Vanguard account, a Fidelity account, whoever you want to open an account with, and just get started doing something, because you're going to learn from it, and it's going to make a huge impact on your life. And I just can't stress enough like how much thinking about these things early on really can impact your entire life as far as your financial side of things goes. And I mean, that just leads to so many more like mental things, and just it can really make things a lot easier if you just think about these things a little bit early on, in my opinion.
The eighth wonder of the world, compound interest.
I'm saying, yeah, dude. Go for it.
The funny thing about that is, so this past weekend, my family and I, we went down to the lake for like a little mini vacation. And my cousin and I were talking about, he's 21.
Okay.
He has a Roth IRA right now that he's putting money into.
God bless his heart.
Exactly. So he was talking to me a little bit about his money, and then his dad, my uncle was sitting there too, and he was kind of telling me what they were doing with it, and it's in Vanguard. And I started talking to him about compound interest, and they kind of knew what it was, but not really. Like, they've never sat down and did like a calculation. So I was like, all right, well, I'm about to blow your mind. So he said he's putting in $150 a month at 21. Yeah, he's not like got a real actual like full-time paying job. No, so I think that is perfect. That he's even doing something. So I told him, I said, well, let's do this. Let's assume your rest of your life, you never get a pay raise, and you continuously do the $150 a month into your Vanguard account. I said, if we do stock market averages right now, 6 to 8%. Yep. So I said, first, let's be conservative, and let's do your 6% interest rate in return over your lifetime until you're 65. Sure. And I said, like I said, if you never get a raise in your lifetime, which is highly unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And then you start you continuously put in the $150 and never put another dollar in on top of $150. It came out to be a little over $400,000 is what he'd have in that account.
That is ridiculous.
I know. And then I said, now let's bump it up to, I guess, the more traditional average of your 8%. And that ended up calculating out to be just over $800,000. And he kind of sat there and looked at me with this blank stare. And I was like, I'm not kidding, man. Like, this is real stuff. If you just stick with it, you know, and you're doing yourself such a favor by starting at such a young age.
Yes.
That is going to do nothing but benefit you and your 65-year-old self when you're sitting down on your couch or you're on the beach sipping a pina colada. You're going to be thanking yourself that you started putting in that $150 at 21 years old.
Exactly. And I'm not sure the exact numbers right now, but if you would have started at say maybe 26, if you had waited 5 more years to get started, like that can reduce your $800,000 back down to $400,000 or your $400,000 back down to $200,000. Like that's how much of a difference time will make with compound interest, guys. Like the money is not the big thing here. The time is the big thing here. Like even if it's just a little bit of money, you give it a lot of time and you're going to be very, very surprised at what can happen. So that's my 2 cents there. So was this your first big experience with debt, this student loan? Obviously you said you had a car loan in high school, but I'm assuming this was like your biggest experience. Did you have any credit cards in high school, or can you just talk about basically what your experience with that was before this student loan?
For sure. So like I did say, I had a car loan in high school. You know, I bought my own cars from 16, 17, 18 years old. Dang. And when I was 18, I went out and I thought that I needed to have this awesome 1999 Z28 Camaro. So I went out to the bank, I got the loan, and I forget exactly what my payment was. Mm-hmm. But it was just, now that I look back at it, it was ridiculous the amount of money that I was spending per month between insurance and this car payment at 18 years old working as a lifeguard.
God.
I just look back now, I'm like, what were you thinking, dude? But that was probably my biggest experience with debt before the student loans happened. And then for credit cards, I did open up my first credit card when I was 18. Now, on the other hand, like I said, I've always been decent with finances before I really got into it after college and really started researching and figure out what to do with my money. But I've always really had a credit card ever since I turned 18. And to your listeners out there, the most important thing with a credit card is make sure that you're able to pay off that balance every month.
Yes.
Because you do not want to get the interest accrued that's going to be on top of your balance with credit cards, because it's one of the worst type of debt that you can have in your life. Yes. And not only that, but credit cards can be very beneficial to you for your credit score. So because I've had my because I had my car loan, and then because I had my credit cards, which I wouldn't recommend getting a car loan at 18. No. But because I had the credit card and I was paying that balance off in full every month, I now at 27 years old, and I had this credit score when I was 25, I have an above 800 credit score.
That's impressive, man. That's very impressive.
Yeah. So, I mean, anytime I go to, apply for something, or my insurance rates, that helps me out. Or, when I'm getting my mortgage loan, that's going to help me out. And I'll get additional lender credits to help with my closing costs. So there's little things throughout life that will help you out for having a decent credit score. And I think probably one of the best ways to get that started as a young, high school student or a young college student is to get that credit card, but make sure you're paying that balance off every month. And I cannot stress that enough.
Yes, I'm so with you. Go for it.
Sorry, I just wanted to also say, if you know yourself and if you know that you cannot control your spending, I would not advise getting a credit card, because that's going to do nothing but put you farther behind. So if you know that you cannot control your spending, I would not get a credit card, because that's going to do nothing but set you up for failure.
I completely agree with that. And I mean, coming back to Gary Vaynerchuk and Dave Ramsey for a second, I mean, if you have the self-awareness to realize that, no, I cannot control myself with a credit card to use it just as I would a debit card, because personally what I do is I spend money on my credit card and I pay it off before the statement closes, usually within the same week. I usually pay my credit card off weekly, if not even more frequently than that, just to make sure I know what I'm spending money on and that I have the money to pay these things off. Because if you just use your credit card as like you just have an additional like $4,000 of money to spend however you want, that's gonna end up very, very poorly for you So you really do have to have the self-awareness to realize, okay, is this something I'm going to be able to manage? Is this something I'm going to be able to be responsible with? And if not, head over to Dave Ramsey. He's got some really valuable tips for you on how to stay out of credit card debt, because you do not want to get yourself in that mess early on or ever, because like you said, it's going to set you up. It's going to set you very far behind as far as your finances go. And it's just not a place that you want to be in. So if you're going to use a credit card, if you're going to build your credit score early on and get all those lower interest rates and just advantages you get with a credit score or credit card, definitely like be responsible with it. Pay it off in full every single month. And if you're not going to do that, then don't bother getting it at all. It's not worth it. So how, for you personally, moving back to your student loans for a second, how did it feel to sort of get rid of all of that debt? I mean, you said it felt sort of like a weight on your shoulders. So was paying off that last bit very like monumental for you? Did you do your Dave Ramsey debt-free scream? Like what did it feel like to sort of get that debt gone?
Well, first it felt amazing. It was like I said earlier, it was a big weight off of my shoulders. No, I did not do the Dave Ramsey debt-free scream. But it definitely was, like I said, a weight lifted off my shoulders. And now maybe for some of your listeners may not be in the same predicament that I was in, but really going through this process, being married, it really helped with my wife and I's like relationship.
I bet.
Because we were able to, create a goal, attack something, and finish it as a team.
Yeah.
And, once a month we'd sit down and we'd go over our budget and we'd say, okay, well, how much do you think we can apply this month to the student loans? How much do you think we can put towards them, student loans this month? And then we get like our tax returns back from our jobs and we'd say, okay, let's put all of it towards the student loans, but we had to make those decisions together.
Yeah.
So going through this process, those 9 months really strengthened our relationship together. And I think that, really benefited us because we were newly married. I mean, we got married, I think a few months after I graduated college. Mm-hmm. So that was really cool to be able to go through that as a newly, married couple and to experience that. But no, I mean, really to answer your question, it felt amazing. And my wife and I, which I recommend this to anybody out there who's going through the debt payoff process, is to recognize what you're doing and praise yourself for meeting those small goals throughout the journey. Mm-hmm. So maybe one weekend you beat your goal for the month of maybe paying off that $1,000. Mm-hmm. So go out to eat, go spend $40, go spend $50, go to a nice dinner, or maybe you want to go to a concert, or go celebrate that mini goal. And then whenever you hit that final goal of paying off your debt or your student loans or credit cards or whatever it may be, do something extravagant. I mean, my wife and I, we booked an all-inclusive resort trip down in Mexico. Dang. To kind of celebrate, one, our anniversary, but two, also paying off the student loans. Yeah. So like having that in mind also motivates you to want to pay off that debt faster, because damn it, who doesn't want to lay on the beach in Mexico? I mean, come on.
Exactly.
Now.
Were you during this process, during your loan pay down, were you investing at all? Because I mean, you said you were reading some blogs, listening to some podcasts, reading some books, and eventually starting watching YouTube videos. But were you investing during this process? Were you just learning about investing? It sounds like you were diverting a ton of money into this debt. So did you really have anything to invest on the side?
Yes. And this is something that, to go back to Dave Ramsey, there's a lot of things that he talks about that I don't agree with. Yeah. But for strictly paying off debt, that I think he's excellent to listen to. Mm-hmm. But he says, don't invest while you're paying off debt, which I think is a kind of a load of crap. Yeah. Because like we talked about earlier, time is your number one companion whenever you're trying to invest.
Exactly.
So yes, my wife and I were investing while we were paying off our student loans. And probably this is I think the easiest and best way to do it when you're trying to attack your student loans or another large debt that you have to your name, is we invested heavily into our Roth 401ks at work. The first reason why we did this was because it comes out of your paycheck and you don't even realize, that you're losing that, or that not losing, but you're getting rid of that money.
Exactly. It's not even there to begin with.
Yes, 100%. So that's really easy to get by, and you'll be shocked at how much that helps you out in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
But something else you may want to keep in mind for whenever someone is, when you get that job out of college or out of high school, is some companies do what's called a 401k match.
Oh, dude, yes. Preach on this 401k match. Oh my God.
Yes. So the most important thing you have to realize with this, if you choose to pay off your debt and not invest, you are and your company gets a 401k match. You are literally missing out on hundreds and hundreds of dollars of free money.
Completely. And compound that over time, and it's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Exactly. I was just about, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars that you're missing out on.
Yes.
So if you are choosing right now to pay off the debt and you have a 401k match, I highly, highly, highly recommend taking advantage of that. And even if it's just doing the bare minimum to get the full amount match, because I know probably average of most companies out there do which either like a 3% to a 6% match. That's typically what I've heard from my friends and other peers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would at least do the 3 to 6% in your 401k, if not more, because like we both talked about already, the more time you have, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah. And okay, so I was just having a conversation a couple of days ago. I did this live stream on Instagram with a friend of mine named Ryan. And one of the things we hit on in that was 401ks. And I definitely do have some mixed feelings on 401ks as far as investment vehicles go. He was very anti 401k, but I was sort of making an argument for them just because of this match. So the thing you have to think about with a 401k match is it's literally free money. So how a 401k match works is essentially you contribute some money of your paycheck, money that is, you're not even seeing it. So you, like a saying that is very true, is you sort of adapt to what you have. So as far as, I mean, that works with time, that works with money. So if you see, okay, so let me just start over for a second. So a good example of this is, say the government was to put a 10% tax on you, just an additional 10% tax. You had to pay it. It was on all the money that you earned. You would find a way to fit that into your budget. You would find a way to make that work. Like, you wouldn't just complain about it. I mean, you might complain about it at first, but you would suck it up, and you would find a way to spend 10% less money in your life. So if you can do a similar strategy with a 401k match, and just find a way, just say it's a tax. I mean, it's coming right out of your paycheck. So just tell yourself it's a tax. Tell yourself you have to work with it. Tell yourself it's not an option. And you put that money in your 401k. That's great. What a 401k match is going to do is, say you're making $10,000. You got a 3% match. You put $300. I think I can do math. Nope. $300 into this 401k. They're going to double it. They're going to put another $300 in there. There's going to be some caveats there, but essentially you're getting free money. Okay. So they're doubling your money. So that's an automatic 100% return on your investment. Now the cons to 401k is really quick. There's a lot of fees. You're going to be investing in probably mutual funds that are going to have pretty high expense ratios. So it's not going to be the greatest investment vehicle, but the fact that you're just getting that match out of the gate is ridiculous. Like you can argue against 401ks all you want, but if there's a match there, you got to at least do the minimum on the match. And if you don't want to contribute any more than that, that's fine. Like, open your own Roth IRA or whatever, and invest more elsewhere. But if you're leaving that 401k match on the table, you're literally leaving free money on the table, and you compound that over time, and it's hundreds of thousands of dollars if you're not taking advantage of that. So I can't stress enough the importance of that. And there's so many of my friends, especially those of them that are working at Target right now, while they're in school, they have a 401k program where they'll match you. They're not taking advantage of it. And every time I see them, I'm like, guys, you really should consider this, because you're leaving free money on the table every single paycheck. So that's my little rant on 401ks and 401k matches, just because I really think that's something that I just see my peers not taking advantage of it, and it really just makes me think, makes me like, oh, guys. But that's my 2 cents on that.
Well, no, I wanted to add to that.
Yeah.
kind of going off a little tangent here, I understand, but I wanted to make sure that, people do understand that is one of the most important things, like you mentioned, is fees. Is when you are investing in a 401k, you need to be checking all of the options that you have available to you in your employer's 401k, because I am a perfect example of what I'm going through right now when I switched my career to the construction industry. So the company that I'm working for, they offer a 401k. And the first thing I did is I looked at the options that they have available to me to invest in, and they were crap. They were high expense ratios.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing good to invest in there. And they also didn't provide a match. So I am taking it upon myself that I have actually decided not to invest in their 401k program. I opened up my own Roth IRA, which I already had open in Vanguard when I rolled over my 401k from my previous employer.
Perfect.
So I am adding my own money after the paycheck comes into my Roth IRA with Vanguard, because the expense ratios with the other 401k at my company was just ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
And we have also decided to increase my wife's 401k contributions, because she is actually, her 401k is through Vanguard. So we have the same pretty much options picked out for her 401k. And we're just investing heavily more into her 401k because, as some of you may know, in a Roth IRA, you have a less amount, a maximum that you can reach. So with a Roth IRA, you can only invest $5,500 per year, to where with a 401k, you can go up to $18,000.
Yep.
So we're choosing to put way more money into my wife's 401k and max out my Roth IRA, which that's just a personal decision we made. That doesn't mean that's what everyone does, but that's just to relate to the 401k and how it may not sometimes be the most best investment option out there.
Exactly. You just
So
got.
I'm glad you touched on that.
For sure. I mean, and I'm glad you hit on that as well, because you do have to do your research. You have to look at these things and really see where the best place for you to put your money is. And it's not always the easiest place. But over time, that's really going to make a difference, because, like, just again, compound interest, man. You throw a 1% fee, a 2% fee on your investments, and you're literally halving your returns over like 40 years, which is just absurd. So like you just got to keep these things in mind, because they really do add up. And a 2% fee might not seem like a lot to you, but it's a lot. Like, I mean, like you said before, with the 8% versus the 6%, like it was literally half. So if you had an 8% return, no fees, you've got $800,000 in your example before. You take that down to 6%, you got a 2% fee on there. Now you got $400,000. Like, that is the difference of a 2% fee. So it's very, very significant with that.
Yep, it's crazy. It's definitely something to keep an eye out for.
All right, so now we're going to pivot a little bit. We hit a bunch on investing, just getting on your feet financially, paying off debt. Now I want to hit on a couple more actionable questions for our listeners that are looking to take action on their finances at a young age, because I mean, most of our listeners here are in the high school to college years. So what is one step that a recent graduate can take to start putting a dent into their debt? What do you think is a good first step to take?
The first and probably most important step to take if you want to start putting a dent into your loans or your debt would be to start tracking your spending. And what I mean by that is if you're spreadsheet savvy and you want to create your own budget and set up certain amounts that you're going to spend each month for, going out to eat, for gas, for car repairs, for, your electric bill, your rent, set up that budget and set an amount that you're going to spend each month to set yourself up to have extra money at the end of the month to apply that to your debt, whatever it may be, student loans, credit cards, etc. And the best thing about that is whenever you start to do that, you're going to get motivated, and you're going to motivate yourself to be able to find more ways to have more money coming in to put towards that debt. So maybe you're like, okay, I put $200 to go towards, eating out and going out with the friends this month. Let's reduce that to $150, and that's $50 more I can put towards, the debt. So just little things like that really helps you out.
Yeah. And I mean, just making sure that you're paying yourself, because I mean, so many people, they get their paycheck and by the end of the month, all the money's gone. And then they get their next paycheck by the end of the month, all the money's gone. So you just got to make sure that you're leaving some money for yourself. to sort of invest and to pay down your debt, because if you just keep paying all your money out, then you're never going to be left with anything. You're never going to be able to make progress. So I think that's very, very critical, is being able to pay yourself first and just get that whole process rolling. And personally, I actually just started, like, I know that I make personal finance YouTube videos, but I hadn't actually tracked I've been tracking my spending, but I hadn't been tracking my income, because I work as a server. So the income fluctuates very greatly based on the night, because it's mostly tips that I'm getting paid. So I really hadn't been actively tracking my income until last month. But knowing how much money is actually coming in and knowing how much money is actually going out is such a valuable thing. And being able to get that going early on is just so powerful. And I really can't recommend that highly enough, to just know where your money is coming from, where it's going, and just being mindful of that at all times. So where's one of the best places that you think a young person can find more money to start throwing at that debt? So you mentioned eating out as an example, but where do you think young people, from your experience, are spending a lot of money that they really could cut down on?
From personal examples, alcohol.
Oh, yes, dude. I totally agree.
It is unreal how much I see friends spending on alcohol every month. You know, especially in a small town where sometimes there's not a lot going on, it's really easy to go to your local bar, grab a couple drinks, maybe your buddies show up and people start ordering shots. I mean, you know, alcohol is so overpriced when you're going out to a bar somewhere.
Completely
so
agree.
even if you enjoy, you know, drinking a beer every now and then, don't get me wrong, I love drinking my beer when I come home on a Friday night. But I would highly recommend you going out and buying that 6-pack at the gas station or at your local Walmart, instead of paying triple to 4 times the amount of that at a local bar for the same amount of consumption of alcohol. That you can have that yourself at home. Invite the buddies to your house. You know, or go to a buddy's house, bring a 6-pack, or mooch off your friend's beer. I mean, do whatever you got to do. But I feel like, especially college students, so much money is spent on consuming alcohol.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying to completely stop doing, drinking.
No, I mean, live your best life.
Exactly, but maybe do it a more smart way, because there is definitely smarter ways to do it.
Exactly. Like if you're going to a concert, do some pre-gaming, drink beforehand.
Absolutely.
Don't buy drinks at the concert. Or if you're going to some event, some party, whatever, just like drink before, drink after. But if you want to drink during, just don't do that, because they're going to charge you up a ridiculous amount, especially if you're like a sporting event or something. It's just absurd. Like there's no reason to be paying for alcohol anywhere but buying it from like a gas station or a liquor store or wherever, because just such a ridiculous markup on that. So do you think personally that making more money or spending less money is more important in sort of establishing yourself financially as a young person?
This is a great question, and my answer is both. And what I mean by this is I would say your first step needs to be focusing on spending less.
Yep.
Once you get dialed into understanding your budget, you understand the amount of money you have coming in, and then you understand what to do with that money once it's coming in.
Yes.
You're setting a foundation for yourself of how to manage your finances. Once you get that step mastered, next step would be to finding out different ways to making more money.
Yes.
Because you've gone through this process of figuring out what to do with your finances. You've gone through a process of figuring out what you need to do and how much you can spend. And as you start creating maybe other streams of income, and you're making more money, or you maybe ask for that raise at your job and you get that, extra couple $1,000 a raise, you know now where to apply that money.
Exactly.
Where before, if you weren't managing your expenses, people's lifestyles always change as they get that raise.
They always scale up. They're always going to scale up.
Yep. So really, to sum this up, really is I think both are super important, but I would say there's steps. And I would say step one is to learn how to manage your finances and spend less. Once you got that mastered, step two is to start making more money.
That was a wonderful response to that question. Like I think that's so spot on. And like, because if you just start making more money, that's great. But if your lifestyle is just scaling up to reflect that, and you don't know how to pay yourself yet, you don't know how much money you actually need to spend to maintain your lifestyle, then you're just going to end up with lifestyle inflation. You're going to end up spending all your money. The money's going to keep coming in. It's going to keep going out, and you're never going to make any progress. So really getting that solid foundation is so key. And I'm so glad you hit on that. I think that was a wonderful response to that question. And I don't think there could have been a better response to that, honestly. All right. So hopping back over to YouTube for a second, we've been talking about investing, paying down debt for a while, but say we have a listener that's sort of been thinking about starting a YouTube channel for a while now, but they sort of keep continuing to hesitate in taking action. They're sort of just putting it off. They're like, oh, when I get to here, or when I have this much money to buy a nice camera or whatever, and they just keep putting it off. What would you tell this person about sort of getting started?
Just freaking do it. I mean, that's it, man. I mean, I wanted to start making YouTube videos for so long, and I remember watching like Jeremy's, financial education channel, and I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, I know I can do this. I feel like I've gone through life a little bit. Yeah. I have a little bit of life experiences to maybe, dab into more of the personal finance aspect, along with my investing experiences that I've had over the past 4 or 5 years of investing. And again, it was just a passion of mine to want to help people, but I was so worried and just, I don't want to say scared, but I was just nervous about putting myself out there and just wondering about, well, am I going to do this right? Like you said, do I have the right camera? Am I going to be doing, I don't have that, that up to scale or up to date editing software.
Yeah.
To where finally I was watching a Gary Vee video at work one day at lunch, and it was a motivational, typical Gary Vee video.
Yep.
And I remember he said, he's like, just freaking start.
Yes.
And that day I came home, I told my wife, I walked in the door, I was like, babe, I'm getting the camera and I'm making a video of how we paid off our $60,000 worth of student loans in 9 months. And she was like, okay, sure. And I was like, and I'm going to post this video on YouTube, and I'm starting that damn YouTube channel that I've been wanting to start for so long. and now here I am. I mean, I think it's been 3 months since I started my channel. I have like 400, just over 450 subscribers, which still, again, blows my mind that people are wanting to listen to this small town boy from, southern Missouri. I mean, it's unreal to me, but it's so flattering at the same time.
Yeah. And I mean, you have value to give. So people are willing to tune in and to give that attention to you.
Well, I appreciate that, because it honestly, it's been humbling. It's a humbling experience. And it's just been, it's been an exciting road, to travel on and to start this whole YouTube thing. Cause again, I'm brand new at this, and it's been an exciting answering everyone's questions in the comments and like building relationships with other like-minded people. Like I would have never have thought that I would be sitting here talking to, a 19-year-old kid that knows as much as you do about finances. Like that blows my mind.
Thank you, man.
Knowing that there's kids and there's people out there, doing this, I'm so glad that I've tapped into this community now. And, who knows where the future is going to lead for all of us.
Exactly, man. It's a great place to be. There's so many cool people here to get to know and to just, I don't even know, man. I've just met so many cool people through this YouTube channel and through all the stuff that I'm doing through the podcast and as well. It's just, it's a great place to be. And really anybody, if you're worried about starting a YouTube channel, don't be. Nobody's ever perfectly ready to start. So you really just do have to jump in and throw your best shot at the camera. You can always take it down if you don't like it. But just put it out there, get some feedback, and just grow from there. Because, I mean, my first video, I'm not sure, I don't think it's actually up anymore. But my very first video, it was so bad. You couldn't see me. You could barely hear me. Like, it was terrible. But like 50 people watched it. And I was like, what? Like, what even? So I was just
crazy.
You'll be surprised. If you have a message to spread, if you have value to bring to the conversation, like people will tune in and you'll it won't be a lost effort if you do have serious value to provide. So I mean, just get started, throw something out there, see what happens, because like fear, I always say, man, fear is temporary, but regret will last you forever. because like you can be afraid of something, but like once you hop in, once you see what it's all about, like you're gonna get it figured out. You're gonna know about it. But if you never do it, if you never make that step, you're always gonna regret. You're always gonna live in the what ifs. So it really just does come down to like getting started before you feel like you're ready, because you're never gonna feel 100% ready. So one more thing about YouTube videos. What's your favorite and then least favorite aspect of videos as far as like planning them out, actually filming them, reacting to people in the comments, editing? Like what do you love the most and what do you not love the most?
So first I'll start off with what I do not like the most, and I hate making thumbnails.
Really?
I hate it. I cannot stand it. Like I'm a very analytical, type of person, the engineering background. I'm not the most creative when it comes to like designing something like that,
Okay.
make it look artsy or to bring attention. So that is where I have the hardest time, is trying to figure out how I'm going to make this thumbnail. And sometimes I'll be honest with you, it's I throw a quick video and throw some text on it and that's it. Cause I'm just like, I have no idea how to make this thumbnail, look exciting. So that's probably the least thing that I love about YouTube. The number one thing is what I've talked about before already. Just being able to put yourself out there, to know that you're helping someone. Like when I get those comments or those messages on like through Instagram that I got today, like that right there, just that makes all the work that I do for this channel worth it.
I totally, man, coming back to your thumbnails for a second, I really like your thumbnails lately in like the last week. I really like those. With like the half black background and like the half you. I don't know. I really like those. So I'm surprised that's what you said, because I really like your thumbnails. And I think you're doing a great job. And honestly, like my thumbnails feel so haphazard. Like I should probably give them a lot more thought than I do. But yeah, I mean, thumbnails, yeah, I don't hate them, but I also don't give them the time that they probably deserve. So that's a tricky spot. But I mean, yeah, interacting with people is really what it's all about. And that's where I get the most fulfillment from, is just hearing from people and what they're up to, what their experiences have been, because that just makes it all the more real. So now I got a couple questions that I like to ask all of my guests, kind of a little bit selfish because I just want to know the answers for myself, but I'm hoping other people get value from them as well. So we're just going to hop right in. First one is, how do you stay motivated, whether that be financially, in life, really any way, shape, or form you want to answer that?
Yep. So first, I've always been a self-motivated person. That really is thanks to my mom and dad. They've always kind of given me responsibility ever since I've been a young kid. I mean, 8 years old, making me pay my own way at a fast food restaurant, or, having to ask to order my own, menu or whatever at such a young age. Like, I think that really, just little things like that throughout life really help instill responsibility in myself. And then in the long run has really helped be a more self-motivating person, to be able to set my mind to whatever I want to do and achieve that. So, and I've never really not achieved anything that I wanted to in life, just because I don't give up. I just kind of keep going, unless I just end up not liking something that I don't see as beneficial to me or helping me out in the long run, then I'll stop. But no, I mean, I think that's been the biggest aspect of how I keep myself motivated, is I'm just self-motivated. And now that I have a family of my own, that's the next, I mean, right now, that's the biggest motivation for me, is everything I do is I look at how I can benefit my family and make my family's lives better. So having that now is really, really easy to help keep myself motivated.
I bet, man. And that's amazing that you're a self-starter. I mean, I feel like most people who actually start making YouTube videos are self-starters, because the people who aren't don't end up starting. Right. And I think that's also really cool that your family had such a positive impact on you and getting you motivated and just like feeling good about yourself and about being able to just get what you want and ask for what you want and make it happen. That's really cool. Do you have any habits that have served you particularly well, again, whether that be financially or otherwise?
Yes, and this could be good or bad. Okay. It's actually been good and bad for me in my life, but it's been being impatient.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is when I think of something that I want to do, I want to do it. How do I say this? I put my whole self to it, my whole mind to it. That's what I'm striving to get towards. And the impatience, I think, is what makes me work harder. Now,
Okay.
on the other perspective of that, I've also had a lot of, not so great benefits of being impatient is because, like, for example, YouTube is a prime example.
Mhm.
I sometimes get impatient and I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe, I'm not putting out good content, or maybe this or maybe that.
Oh yeah.
And you got to be able to be patient in anything you do in life to see the results, whether, as for investing, starting
Yep.
a business, starting a YouTube channel. So really being impatient has affected me both good and bad in my life.
That's fair. That's fair. And I mean, there's aspects like what one of the things Gary Vee says again. It's macro patience, but like in the micro, it's speed. So
Yes.
being able to see the big picture, see the trees for the forest or whatever that saying is, like see the big picture, but
Right.
also be able to act quickly, because if you don't act quickly, you're never going to accomplish that big picture vision that you have for yourself. So I think that is a very beneficial thing, to be able to see what you're going for, but also be able to make the moves to make it happen. And I mean, I feel like everybody's got, I mean, I know personally I have this, but like the self-doubt about having that like imposter syndrome of, oh, am I doing this right? Are these videos any good? Or do people even care anymore?
Right.
But you really do have to just like stay true and hone in on those messages that you get and those comments that you get, because those are the most meaningful things, and those are the things that make it worth it.
Absolutely.
So couple more questions here. Any book or books that have had a big impact on you in your life? Again, can be financial, can be lifestyle, whatever you feel.
So in the recent, honestly, I haven't read much because of everything going on with family, YouTube, and
Yeah,
work and
fair.
everything else. But in the past, I have read a book that really, I think, first opened my mind on investing and finances as a whole.
Mm.
And I'm sure a lot of your listeners, if they're listening to your podcast, they've probably heard of this book, and it's Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh, yes.
Really
Can't rep
put
that
in,
book enough.
yeah, really put into perspective of, that's the first time I've heard the concept of make money work for you, don't work for money.
Mm.
And that was huge. That was a changed my whole outlook on how to handle my money.
I'm completely with you on that. One critique that I've gotten of that book recently, I mean, I talk about the book a lot. It's had a huge impact on me. But one critique that has come up a couple times recently is that people say that book is no good because it's all fluff. It's not giving you any tactical information. It's not giving you any like resources or like ways to do things. Can you talk on that a little bit?
That's a good point. Honestly, like, you can't get everything. See, some people expect so much from one thing. Like,
Yes.
that book's not meant to be, it's not meant to set yourself up to know exactly what to do step by step by step. I mean, the book is meant to kind of also motivate yourself to take that next step, to take that action, to learn more, to research more, to watch YouTube videos, to listen to financial podcasts.
Exactly.
It's just to show you, what can be done and kind of give you a motivation to just get started.
I completely agree with that. And for me, it was very beneficial because I read this book coming in with very little. I mean, I'd been watching some YouTube videos for a while, reading some blogs, listening to some podcasts, but I was at a very low level. I mean, I'm still pretty low as far as like financial literacy goes in the grand scheme of things. Of course, among my peers, I would not say that, but in the whole scheme of the world, yeah. But this book is a really good way to sort of just like open up your mind to all the opportunities out there. Because before reading this book, I really thought that the way to get rich was to lock down a job as a computer programmer, making 6 figures a year, work 80 hours a week for the rest of my life, and then retire at the age of 65 and just lay on a beach. That's what I thought. That's what I thought the one path to like financial success was to get a very high paying job, work a lot of hours a week, and then just retire. And now after reading that book, I realized that that's not the only way to go. In fact, most of the people that that have built serious wealth did not do it that way. Frankly, very, very few of them did it that way. So that book really just opened up my mind to a whole new world of opportunities and just things that were available to me that I really had no idea of before, and just business models and ways to start businesses and all of these things that I just never thought of before. And I think it's very, very good for that at a beginner level. Of course, if you're super advanced and you're reading books like maybe The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham, maybe this book isn't the most beneficial for you at that point, because you've already internalized a lot of the stuff that's in the book and a lot of these ideas. But if you're coming in at a very ground level and you want a very ground level book to get started with, I think it's just such a good way to go. It's literally $7 on Amazon, and for $7 to like have that much of an impact on you. I mean, I got it from the thrift store for like $1. But for a book that's so cheap to have such a powerful impact, I think it's wild. And I think people who choose not to read the book, I don't know. I think you're missing out on a lot if you're a young person, you haven't read this book yet, and you're trying to build something for yourself. So
it's a huge ROI on yourself.
I completely agree, dude. $7 for a ridiculous ROI. All right, so last question before we go. I'm going to give you some time to do some self-promotion. So where can people find out more about you? Where can people connect with you? Just feel free to shout out any social handles, any places that people can feel free to reach out to you and connect.
For sure. I mean, first and foremost, you can check me out on my YouTube channel. It's just JJ Buckner. And then also I'm probably most active on my Instagram channel, which is just at JJ Buckner. I do a little bit of Twitter here and there, not too much, and that's at JJ_Buckner. If you guys have any questions for me, I have an email. You can also send me emails. I check regularly. It's jjbucknerbusiness@gmail.com. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Perfect. All right. Well, now you guys know how to contact JJ. Feel free to hit him up, reach out, hop over to his YouTube channel and subscribe, because he's got some great content going on over there, guys. If you haven't checked it out yet, be sure to do so. JJ, I just want to thank you one more time for being on the show. It was a pleasure to have you here. And I look forward to speaking with you again very soon.
Likewise, Apple. Thanks, man.
Well, guys, I hope you really enjoyed that interview with JJ Buckner. Again, check him out over on youtube.com/JJ Buckner. He's got some amazing videos over there, all about just establishing yourself as a young person financially, really just getting that solid base going. So I love his videos. I binge watch them all the time, so definitely go check him out. For our money pun of the day, what's the difference between baseball and politics? Well, in baseball, you're out if you get caught stealing. Next week, we are going to have an amazing show. We've got Carolyn Swanson on the show, actually, and she is going to tell us all about network marketing or multi-level marketing and just breaking down that entire topic. So it was honestly probably my favorite interview so far for the show. She was actually an old teacher of mine, was into multi-level marketing back then, but then she took it full-time recently. So we really break down everything that you got to know about multi-level marketing, network marketing, all that good stuff. I learned so much because I know personally I've been pitched a ton of multi-level marketing opportunities, anywhere from selling electricity to selling knives to really everything in between. So I really wanted to talk to somebody who knew their stuff, who'd been doing this for 6+ years, and really just get the insider scoop on that. So that's what we're going to be coming back with next week. It's going to be amazing. It was, again, my favorite interview so far, I would have to say. We had a ton of fun filming it, and it was just a great time had by all. So definitely stay tuned for that. But if you can't wait until then for your next bit of entrepreneurship, financial literacy, personal finance, whatever, I've got some free resources for you. First of which is my free online course, as always. That's at applecredit.com/course. It's going to teach you how to invest your first $100 from your smartphone, completely free video lecture course, about 45 minutes in length. And again, that's applecredit.com/course, completely free. Another free resource for you. This one is actually brand spanking new. I just wrote an ebook, actually. So believe it or not, I wrote an ebook, and it's basically about how to start an online business. Okay, so when I say online business, what I'm mostly talking about here is a personal brand. It doesn't have to be a personal brand. Could be an Instagram page or any kind of presence online, but really just how to build an audience online and all the ways that you can monetize that. Okay, so it's a great read. It's about 33 pages, and I'm really proud of how it turned out. It's very I think it's very engaging, and it'll really help you break down really how to create an income for yourself online if that is something that you're looking to do. So if you want to make more money online, definitely give this book a read. And you can find that at applecreator.com/ebook. That's 100% free as well. My gift to you for listening to the podcast today. Next, we've got about 200 uploads over on YouTube. I try to upload about 3 to 5 times a week. That's going to be at youtube.com/applecreator. Definitely check that out. Similar content that we've got on the podcast, of course. It's going to be personal finance, entrepreneurship, stock market. Also some social media, business model stuff as of lately, as of me starting in on these different Instagram pages, growing them and such. So you can definitely find out more about that over on the YouTube channel as well. And lastly, just my website, applecreator.com, where you're going to find the show notes for this episode at applecreator.com/016, because this is episode 16. Applecreator.com/016 is where you'll find those show notes. That'll have all the resources we mentioned, the books that JJ mentioned, all of that good stuff. It's going to be over there. But that's pretty much all I got for you guys. So thank you very much for coming down and watching the show, listening to the show, wherever you are consuming this piece of content at. I really do appreciate your time, and I appreciate you choosing to spend it here. Before we go, I do want to challenge you to start keeping track of your expenses, even if it's just for a week. Like just know where your money's going. We talked about this a bit in the show. JJ mentioned that having a budget is a really important thing, and I mentioned how I just recently started tracking my income. I'd always been tracking my expenses, but I'm now starting to track my income. But just keeping track of where your money is going is so key, because if you don't know where it's going, then how are you going to improve your financial situation? Like you can start making more money, but if all that money's just going out and you don't know where it's going, it's going to be really tough to sort of help yourself move along financially if you don't even know where the money's going. So that's a key thing that you really have to lock down before you go out and try to make more money or try to improve your investing. Like just establishing a budget and establishing where your money's actually going is so key, but it's very frequently neglected, especially by young people. So that is my challenge to you. Let me know how that goes. DM me at applecreatorofficial or shoot me an email at apple@applecreator.com. Really, wherever you can find me, I would love to hear from y'all. But my name has been Apple Creator. This has been Young Smart Money, and I will see y'all on Friday.